Hey, how's it going? I hope that you're doing well. So, I've been wondering where water comes from, because um, when you look at all of the stories in existence, they talk about how our life comes from water. When we are looking for life on Mars or any other planet, on Venus or Neptune, we're actually just looking for water. So, water is very important, and when you look at Genesis, in the beginning, God created everything. And then it starts with two things. It starts with darkness and it starts with water. So, where does darkness come from? Where does water come from? So, darkness is an absence of light or a state of ignorance. But in that darkness, in that absence of light, absence of life, there's water, and water is life. So, there is life because water is the basis of life. So where does it come from? Where did it come from in the first place? When scientists are talking about the Big Bang, they say that that bang caused a primordial soup, a sludge where people came out of. In evolutionary theory, they say that people came out of water. But where did the water come from? When a person is pregnant, everyone comes from the water. And I've never seen like a pregnant woman saying like, hey, now I need to create the water, let me drink a lot of water. It just happens, like the water just forms while they're sleeping. But where does that water come from? Our body is just full of water, like the four humors in our body, which is just water. And before the person was created in the garden, God first moisturized the ground, and then he took the soil and created the soul. So, where did the water come from? And water is the basis of life, and Jesus is the living water. Everything in life needs water. Everything in life contains water. I am just a water body. You are a water body. All the trees are full of water. The sky is full of water. And the second day, God separated the waters above from the waters below, which means that the sky is full of water, the ground is full of water. When this world was destroyed, it was destroyed with water, even though water gives life. It extinguished life because we're water and we're fire and we're earth and we're air. We're all the elements. We're in the fourth dimension, trapped in a third dimension, the hex. So, where does water come from? And what is it? Because water is something that creates everything. It contains all life. It is something that actually has memory. It can store thoughts. It can store ideas. Water is has a structure where if you actually pray holding water, or if you speak to water, this water will actually know what you're saying. It will retain this memory. It will have this understanding. So water has memory. Water is used for life. It is useful in everything. Water is actually energy. Water, watt, are. So the watts in electricity all come from water. Water is something that can create anything else because everything has water. Everything has water because everything comes from the ground. The ground is watered. And water, even though is found on the ground, water is found on the ground, right? But water literally comes from the sky. And this sky water is what some people actually call like the sperm of God, because it falls on Mother Earth, and each drop is like a sperm, and then each drop just comes, and then all of these drops mate with everything in nature, and through whatever happens, something grows. This is the fruitfulness of Mother Nature from Father Universe. So water is from the sky, but it's found on the ground. So water is high and low, the firmament. So, water is something that's so interesting and so mysterious because no one can explain where it comes from. It's just there. And water is actually life. Water is energy. We get all of our energy from the currents. Water is a currency, it moves in currents. And these currents create our currencies. These currents create all energy. All energy is created through currents. So, air currents or water currents, these currents are creating energy. These are the watts, the waters, the waters. But most importantly, everyone has a naval. So everyone is Navy. So through the Navy, we are water people. And through this, we are citizens or citizenships. So we have our citizenship because of this water. We can't explain where it comes from. You're just born, and then like as a kid, you're put in this ship, a citizenship, and then when you grow older, you get in a relationship, you get in another ship. But all of this is just because of the water. So water is created in the testicles, and it's also found abundantly in the womb because everyone comes out of the water. So sex is water. Like there has to be moisture for there to be sex. So everything is water. Water is the fourth element, one of the four elements. We have earth, wind, air, and water. Earth, wind, fire, and water. So in the womb, you see that the woman has this miraculous ability to create water. And this is the whole idea of the womb. After a person mates, this creates the waters in the womb. And remember that on a ship, the people in the ship are all mates. They're all mates, and they're on the water. But in the womb, the sperm and the egg mate, and then they create the water. And this is the intercourse or the course of a ship. So this gives us our life, because this is the mating actual way that we're actually created. So through this, we have the water that is created in the womb. Through the womb, we have the navel, which connects us to the air, the food, the other elements. But we are actually formed in water. And when people are talking about evolution, it's actually true. Like we evolve from the water. Like you evolve. At some point, you look like a fish. At some point, you look like an ape. At some point, you look like a person. And then you actually evolve, and then you crawl out. At first, you're like hunchback, and your head is a bit funny. Like your head actually is open first, so your skull is different. And then you crawl. At a certain point, you become a Homo erectus. And at a certain point, you become a Homo sapien. At a certain point, you become a Homo sapien sapien. And then you devolve after that. Then you dry, or you die. This is how, like, old people, as you get older, your body actually dries. This is what death is. You dry up. And yeah. So water is life, and the woman is the only one who is able to create water in abundance. And water is mysterious. Water has no place. Like, where does water come from? It just appears. And it's not like, yeah, where does water come from? It's just there in the womb. It's just there. Like, it just forms this amniotic sac full of water that breaks when it's time for you to break out. After 9 months, 9, the number of fruit of the Spirit, the number of perfection, the reversed hex. And this is when the person comes out of the womb, and then they just walk out of the water. And this water is created by the woman. So the woman has this divine nature to her. The woman is a matrix. Tricks, like a dominatrix. Tricks actually, a matrix is actually a woman. This is the matter. This is material. You see this tree behind me right here? This is actually just material. This is full of water. This is a matrix. This is a woman. This is why it's called Mother Nature. Because nature, natural, everything natural is the woman. So the woman creates every person. So like Adam was the first dude, and then Eve was second. But then Adam gave birth to Eve. But then after that, every woman, every Eve you're ever gonna see comes from another Eve. Every man, every Adam you're ever gonna see comes from a woman. So the woman is the actual source of life. This is why ancestor is aunt and sister. Tete, guru, great aunt in my language. Like an ancestor is a great aunt. because everyone comes from a woman. Nobody comes from a man except for the first woman. So when you look at the genealogy of life, you start with the man and then the woman, and then the woman becomes the man. So when you understand the story of Genesis, the gene, the generator, you see that the prophecy of Jacob and Esau is that the younger shall lead the older, is the woman who is younger shall lead the man who is older. This is why the devil misled the woman, which misled the man. And the younger shall lead the older. This is like day and night. But actually, if you read Genesis, you see that a day starts at night. The night is Eve, or the evening. And then the day is Adam, or adamant, the bright day, the sun and the woman, the sun and the Eve. So evening, and then so every day starts with even though it's day and night, it's actually night and day. This is the younger shall lead the older. So this is water. So everyone comes from the water and is dependent on the water, and the water is created by the woman. So the woman is the matrix. This is why women are so, like, matrix is mate and trick. Matrix is a mating trick. So anything that mates or that is made or mate, right? Mate, make, made is created or made or mated in the matrix, the womb, matriculation. So this is the womb man, the wombed man, and everything is created in that matrix through the water. So this woman is able to create this matrix, and a man can't. A man can never create a matrix like that. The natural matrix is just the womb. This is the matrix, and through this mating trick, this is how we have affection for the women, and the womb, right? The womb. And through this we have our understanding of life, of love, because through the womb, this is how we are introduced to life, through the woman. This is the woman gives us life. The womb, the waters in the womb give us life. Like, there is no life without that water. And this womb gives us life. This womb gives us our understanding of everything in existence. Without the womb, we don't have anything. The sperm is just a catalyst. The sperm is like a switch, you know. The sperm is white. White is void of life. The womb is dark, black, which absorbs all light, which is the giver of life. But then the sperm is white. White is void of life, like a ghost. So this sperm is just a catalyst, but it has no life in it. It has information. It moves in a certain formation, for sure. But it is a seed, for sure. But it's not the fruit. So we need the womb. Of course, you need both. You need male and female. But everyone comes from the womb. Everyone. Every woman comes from a womb. Every man comes from a womb. But in the beginning, the woman came from a man. This man gave his rib. This rib is like a horn structure. This is the African creation story where the first man is actually in water. He's just in water. I don't know where the water came from, but he's in water. There's water and there's land, and he's in water and he's holding this horn, which is pretty much like the rib that Adam gave up to create a woman. And this horn is actually giving this dude the first man, the first moon. The first moon is the first man in the African creation story. And this rib, or this horn, was giving him the ability to reproduce, the same way that Adam's rib gave him the ability to reproduce. So it was like a horn, which is a part of the moon. Like the moon has like these horns when it's a new moon, this crescent-shaped horn. And that's what a rib looks like. So this is what the man used in Africa. This is what the man used in the garden. So the water is important, and the water is everything. Water is life, and through understanding water, we're understanding the elements, that all of the elements are are always there, are always present. Like in this tree, you have water, you have fire, because you have the heat, photosynthesis, photo light, right? Which is the heat, the light, the sight, the fire. In this tree, you have fire, you have water, you have earth, because it comes from the earth, right? And of course, you have air. And this is how we actually breathe. So in this tree, you have all of the four elements. In the same way that you have all of the four elements in my body. Like I am all of the four elements. But the basis of everything is water. So water is also what we call humidity. So when a person was created, first God made sure that the soil was humid, and then he made the soul. Soil the soul. I have a video about the soul and the soil. Soul the soil, yeah. So first God made sure that it was humid. Through humidity. Humid or humili is actually just means low, which is the base, the basis, the ground. So humility is humidity. So for you to do anything, you need humility. You need the basis of humility for you to do anything. You need the basis of humidity for you to have anything. This is the matrix. Humidity is humility. This is where we get the humors in the body, the four different humors in the body. You have white bile, you have black bile, you have yellow bile, you have blood, and then you have phlegm. And all of this, I go into this in like a video. I think it's called the four humors or something. So I'm not going to explain that. You can watch that for those four humors. But what's happening when you use those four humors, the four elements, the liquids in your blood, is that you're actually going through the process of creation, because this humor is humidity. So to be humorous is a part of to be witty. Like a person who is funny is a person who's witty. It's a person who's humorous. And to have wit is W-I-T, which is W-E-T. Witty is wet, which is humorous mind. So this is when you're humorous, you're witty, which is wet, which is humidity. And through this, your wits are what give you that ability to create energy. This is the water, which creates currents, which is electricity. So this is the water. So through this wet mind, through this fluid, flexible, relentless mind, you're grounded with humor through humility. So water is so flexible, and this is part of humility, flexibility. Water will always flow to the lowest place. Like it will fall from a waterfall so that it can go to a lower place. This is the base. This is humility. This is what water does. So where does humility come from? The same place where water comes from. It's a mystery. Like to have humility is to have humidity. To have humidity is to be base, like not to be basic. To be basic means that you're only concerned about your physiological body and maybe security. Those are the basic needs. So if you're like basic minded, this is all you think about: sex, food, shelter. Sex, food, shelter. And this is a problem, because in certain parts of the world, people are forced to think sex, food, shelter only. But to be based, it means that you're grounded. It means that you have taken off your feet, because the ground you are on is holy. The ground you're on is holy. This is where the soul was created. So this is in the video of Moses and the burning bush. Goes into this idea and the four elements. And to have a basis in anything is to have this basic understanding that the basis of life is humidity. The basis of wisdom is humility. And through understanding this, you'd see that your humor, your wetness, or your wittiness is creating everything. Like moisture creates everything. Humidity creates everything. Like for love to happen, there has to be humor. Like, imagine being in love and you never have any wit or humor in that relationship. A lot of people are looking for a person who can make them laugh, because laugh, love, right? A lot of people need that, because this is what makes everything go round. Like, I think it's Andrew Carnegie, like one of the richest Americans ever. It's like, where there is no laughing, there's seldom any prosperity. Something like that. I'm paraphrasing it a little bit, but that's what he said, and I'm like, wow, this is a quote. Like, when I first read it, I'm like, this is kind of like so basic. But then when I read into it, I saw that it was so sophisticated. So, wit, wet, humor, humidity, humility, and this is just the basis of everything. Everything you're ever gonna need to do will need you to have humility. Humility, humility, humility. Everything you need to grow in nature will need humidity. So we are also natural. I am a tree. You are a tree. And just like how these trees grow, you also need the same elements. So just watch Moses and the Burning Bush and stuff like that, and then you see what's up with that, because your soul is the soil. So yeah, so that's it. So I don't know if I'll ever find out where water comes from, but Psalm 1 says that the righteous is like a tree planted by streams of living water. So his leaf is forever green, and all he does, he prospers, or she prospers. So I hope that you are also planted by streams of living water. This is my greatest wish for you. My greatest wish for me too. Psalm 1. And also, this is also Psalm 112. So you read Psalm 112. These are the same psalms, but then they're inversed. So yeah, that's just a treat. Like, if you actually dig that, because like you made it to the end of this video, so yeah, you qualify. So yeah, if you read Psalm 112, it's actually in the Vulgate Bible, it was Psalm 1 and then Psalm 111. But then in the modern versions, it's now 112. So read them in conjunction, like Psalm 1 and 112. And all of them starts with blessed is the person. Blessed is the person. So this is your blessing, to be in the streams of living water, forever flowing, and your leaf will always be green, you'll always prosper, and all of that stuff. So yeah, I hope that you can actually dig that and get that, and yeah, you know, I appreciate you watching this, and yeah, I would want to hear from you. Just holler at me, and I'll do my best to holler back. So yeah, thanks a lot, and see you soon.